Now from this section, we'll start to learn data structures one by one and implement them in Java. So in this video, we will start to learn array data structure. So it is the most used data structure. An array is simply a collection of objects or things. They are very powerful data structures that stores list of elements and have endless applications. Simple real-life examples of array can be collection of books on your table, clothes in wardrobe, and pens in your pen stand. So let's quickly examine one of these real-life array structure. So here we will look at box of macarons. This box of macarons is very similar to array data structure. If you look at this box very carefully, we can see that what are the main properties of this box of macarons. So the first is, it's a box of macarons which holds macarons in it. So this means that this box is produced for macarons. You cannot store this cream puff in this box over here because it will not fit it. This box is only produced for macarons. So the next property is all macarons in this box are next to each other. So there is no gap between them, which means that they are contiguous. So as you can see, even if I remove one macaron from here, its place will be empty, so we can place another macaron over here. This means that these macarons are located contiguously in the memory. Now the next property is each macaron here can be identified uniquely based on their location. So let's say if I want to identify this macaron over here, I can say that this is the fifth macaron in this box over here. Or if we want to identify the other one, we can identify it by its location. So this is the sixth macarons over here and so on. So this means that this box is produced by some standard manufacturer and assumes that there will be only 10 macarons. Now the last property is that we cannot change the size of box, which is fixed size. This means that this box is produced by some standard manufacturer and assumes that there will be only 10 macarons in it. So we cannot add 11th macarons to this box over here because we cannot change the size of this box over here. So these are the common properties of this box and can be seen very easily. So if we compare this box of macarons with the array structure, we see that they are very similar. So the typical array structure looks like this. So here we have 6 elements in our array. So here you can easily see that the appearance of macarons box and array structure somehow looks like each other. Now let's look at the properties of this array over here. So they are very similar with the property of this box over here. So the first property is array can store data of specific type. This means that when we create an array of integers like this, so we cannot store the string values in this array over here. So this is the array of integers. So if I want to try to add string to this array as a next element, this will give us errors. So we cannot store different types of data in the same array. So as you can see over here also, in the box of macarons, it is only produced for macarons. We cannot store this puff cream to this box over here because it will not fit in. So in this case, the data type is macaron and we cannot store this puff cream over here, another data type. So in our array over here, the data type is integer. So if I want to store this string over here, it will raise an error and will not allow us to do so because this is how array works, and once we define the type of data for array elements, it must be the same type of data that we have defined. Now the next property is elements of array are located in contiguous locations in the memory. This means that the elements of array are located next to each other. So there is no gap between them. So as you see in the box of macarons, they are also located next to each other and there is no gap between them. And the third property of the array is each element of array has unique index. So the index of elements over here can be defined like this. So here you need to take into account that the first element's index is always starts with 0. So in array, indexes always starts with 0. So if we want to access the first element, we are using 0 index. If we want to access, for example, fourth element, we are using index 3. So because the index starts from the 0. So these are the index of these elements over here. So as you can see, from left to right, it starts from 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So it increases sequentially. So the last property of array is that the size of array is predefined and cannot be modified. So here again, if we look at this box of macarons, we can see that the size of box is predefined. So the manufacturer is produced this box for 10 macarons. So we cannot feed 11th macaron to this box over here because the sizes cannot be changed. So when we create the array also, we define the size. So this is the biggest limitation of array in Java. So hopefully with these 4 properties, you have understood the main properties of array based on this real life example. Now hopefully you have a picture of array of what it looks like. Now let's see what is the definition of array in computer science. So in computer science, an array is a data structure consists of collection of elements, each identified by at least one array index or key. An array is stored such that the position of each element can be computed from its index by a mathematical formula. So here we have a collection of integers and each of them identified by their indexes. And based on these indexes, we can find any given elements using mathematical formula. So if we want to access the any elements, we will use indexes over here. So in array, index plays a very crucial role. Now you might be interested, why do we need an array? So in software programs, the array is used almost everywhere in the computer to store any data. For example, let's say we have a situation where we need to store 3 integer numbers. So if we use programming symbol variable or data type concept, we just need to create 3 variables and store these 3 numbers in these variables. So we can declare 3 variables like this. Now it was simple because we had to store just 3 integer numbers. Now let's assume we have to store 500 integer number. The question is, are we going to use 500 variables? So the answer is no, because it's not very optimum solution. So to handle such situations, almost all programming languages provide a concept called array. So an array is a data structure which can store a fixed size collection of elements of the same data type. An array is used to store a collection of data, but it is often more useful to think of an array as a collection of variables of same data type. So instead of declaring 500 variables over here, such as number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4 until 500, you just need to declare an array with the size of 500. Then by using their indexes, you can access any variable that you want in the array. So you don't need to declare 500 variables separately. By declaring 500 size of array, we can solve this problem. So hopefully with this lecture you have understood what's an array and why it is essential in programming. Now in the next lecture, let's see what are the different types of arrays. So see you in the next lecture.